We are a few minutes ahead of schedule. We do have Coach Sonny Dykes from SMU on the line, however. SMU is 5-5 overall, 4-2 in the American Athletic Conference. The Mustangs played at UConn last week. SMU won the game 62-50. SMU is back at home this week to face Memphis on Friday at Gerald J. Ford Stadium in Dallas. The game will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Central on ESPN2. Coach, thank you for joining us once again on the call. If you could just take a minute to tie up the game at UConn, please. And we expect to see as you're back at home on a relatively short week to face Memphis on Friday night, please.
Yeah, it was good to get a win on the road. It was one of those games going into it that, was a potential. We knew it was going to be kind of a tough game. It was, long travel, early game. Weather was, less than ideal. We had a strong wind and snowed a little bit in the second half, and just all these potential excuses. And so obviously we spent a lot of time talking to our players about getting themselves ready to play and having the right mindset. And I thought we started the game well and had a pretty good lead at halftime. And then you got to give UConn a lot of credit. Their guys just kept battling, and we didn't do a very good job in the second half of getting them stopped. And the quarterback really played well. And so anyway, we were fortunate to get out of there with a win. You got to give UConn a lot of credit for playing as hard as they did, and I thought they had a really good game plan. And I thought Randy did a really good job with their kids, getting them ready to play. And they played hard every single snap, and in a lot of ways outplayed us. And so we were fortunate to get out of there with a win, and we know we've got to play much better than we did Saturday moving forward. But it's good to win on the road, especially in conference play, because it's not an easy thing to do.
We'll take questions for Coach Sonny Dykes. Please hit *1 on your telephone keypad to join the queue. Then the operator will introduce you.
We'll go first to Jerry Friley with Dallas Morning News.
Thank you, Sonny. Hey, do you've got a chance? Your team has a chance to accomplish some things, but do you have to put blinders on them this week and just make them realize that this week is the most important week and nothing else matters if you don't do it this week?
Yeah. I think the good thing is that's kind of our approach really every day. So it won't be anything different from the message we're trying to send in terms of, and it really hadn't been any different all year when we started 0-3 and didn't play well early in the season. It's always been about, look, keep your head down and keep working hard. And at the end of the season, we'll talk about how it went. And so, our players have done that. You really have to give them a lot of credit for hanging in there. When you have a new coaching staff and things don't go well, really all the way back to the last year's bowl game. That's hard on those kids because they're looking to the coach for answers. And when you're not having success, sometimes they have to have a little bit of faith and they've been great. They just, like I said, they kept their head down, kept working. They've listened to our message, and they worked really, really hard. And so the good thing is it's been a consistent message and won't really change this week. We're very concerned about having a good practice today and then having good meetings. And then, we'll kind of worry about the same thing tomorrow. And then on Friday, we'll, go through the process of getting ready to play on Friday. And so, our players have really, really done a good job of preparing. We'll have our hands full Friday. Memphis is a really good football team, but our guys are excited about it. And the good thing is, as I said, we won't have to change our message much.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Billy Embody with 247 Sports.
Good morning, Coach. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Demerick Gary's targeting call and just kind of the effect he has on the defense and not being able to play in the first half.
Yeah, look, targeting's a hard thing. I understand the intent. I understand why we have the rule. I understand why the rule is punitive. I get it. I mean, it's 100% about player safety, and it should be. I think that we've got to continue to do everything that we can do to make the game safer and to help take care of our student athletes. So I get that part of it. It's a hard thing to enforce. I mean, it just is. It's, I think that when this started, we all knew what targeting looked like. We didn't really know what to call it, but we knew what it looked like. When a player launched to a defenseless player, which was the thought was at that time, I think primarily receivers, with the big hit that everybody used to celebrate. And so I think it started there, and I think it's trickled down now where, the way it's called and enforced now, you can make the argument that, there's 20 plays a game, that there's a really fine line that could be targeting or might not be targeting. And so it's hard. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard for administrators. It's hard for the people. It's hard for the officials. It's hard for the coaches. It's hard for the players. But I think the rule comes from the right place, which again is player safety. And so, I don't know what Dimrick could have done different, but I also don't know what people administering the rule could have done different, because in some ways I think it falls underneath the definition of targeting. I don't think he intended to hit him in the head, which he didn't. I don't think he intended to hit him with his helmet. I think he was, trying to sack the quarterback. And so it's a tough rule, but and I get everybody's perspective on it. It's just, when it happens and you lose a player as valuable as Dimrick for the first half of a game as big as this game is, it's hard. And so, I think that during the season, in the off season, we've got to sit down and we've got to look at these rules, and we've got to make sure that it's not too punitive, and that, we're not putting our players in a bad situation, and our coaches in a bad situation, and our administrators and officials in a bad situation. So it's certainly something that needs to be looked at in the off season.
And then this game against Memphis has been, very one-sided over the last few years. Is there, do you think, a little bit of a sense in the locker room that over the last few games you guys have built up the confidence that you guys can go out there and score with them or hold them and do all those things?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that the one thing about it is, kids remember things. They just do. That's just part of the psychology of winning. And when you face a team that's had a lot of success against you, I think they've averaged over 60 points per game maybe in the last 3 games. That certainly has an impact on guys, and certainly has an impact on their confidence. But, I think we've played well enough defensively at times this year where we have some confidence. I think, we certainly didn't play our best game Saturday. And I think that we walked off that field, I think defensively, almost feeling like we lost the game. I think the guys were excited that we won and knew that we were fortunate to win. But I think, that game left a bad taste in their mouth. And so when you factor all that together, the success Memphis has had against us offensively and the way that we played Saturday, I think the guys will be hungry, and I think they feel like they're going to have something to prove. But at the same time, we just have to play good winning football. Guys have to do their job and play with toughness and effort, and we just have to play better than we did Saturday and than we have in the past.
We have further questions for Coach Sonny Dykes from SMU, please. You have a couple more.
We'll go back to Jerry with the Dallas Morning News.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Sonny, I just want to know, you've done this countless times before, the short week. Is there anything you found that's helpful in this situation to have your team ready to go at game time?
Well, I think you've got to try to give them a little bit of extra rest, whether it's on the back end or the front end. We gave them Sunday off yesterday, and then we'll have a Tuesday practice today, and kind of try to stay as routine as we can, to try to get ready to play. We had a long travel. Coming back, from Connecticut, that was a long a long flight back. I mean, it was close to 4 hours, and we had a strong headwind, and so I mean that's a tough travel, and it was it was hard on me a little bit physically, and I can only imagine what it was like for our players. And so I think we're trying to get back in sorts a little bit. And so we need to have a really good practice today. We gave them some time. We had meetings yesterday, and we typically practice on Sunday. So we lost that Sunday practice, which for us is a lot of fundamental work. And so now we're going to jump right into Tuesday practice today. But we've just got to get into our routine as quickly as we can and try to get comfortable. And we had meetings early this morning with our players and just try to get off to the week off to a good start.
Thank you.
And then we're going to go over to the Star today to practice, to try to get out of some of the weather that we have today. Gotcha. and try to get a really good day, and appreciate the Cowboys working with us.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
We'll go back to Billy with 24/7 Sports.
Coach, how do you keep the guys focused on not thinking ahead, not looking at the standings and what a win this weekend could mean in terms of all of that, and just kind of keep them focused on this week rather than the bigger picture of what all this could mean on Friday?
Well, I think we've had to do that all year. When you get off to such a bad start, like we did early on, against some good football teams. I mean, I think that's the one thing that we keep going back to. I mean, we've lost 2 conference games, and we lost to Cincinnati, who's 9-1, and we lost to Central Florida, who's 10-0. And we lost to a TCU team that's really talented, lost to a Michigan team that's in the top 4, and lost to a North Texas team that's had a good year as well. So, we weren't happy with the way the season started, and our guys had to just focus on getting better. And so I would expect us to do the same thing. It's like anything else. Sometimes having success is harder to deal with than having failure. And so we've got to focus on, just what we've done to get ourselves in this position. And that's one thing we've been consistent all year with our message is, when we play well and win a game, don't get too high. And when we don't play well and lose, don't get too low. And we've just got to keep getting better, keep improving, keep focusing on just continual daily improvement. And if you do that, then hopefully you don't pay attention to the negativity or the positivity or really any of it. You just pay attention to what you can control, and that's, preparation and effort and how hard you compete and doing your job and all those things that give you a chance to be successful.
And then have you guys opened up the playbook a little bit more, involving guys like Ryan Becker in the passing game a little bit more as of late? Has the playbook evolved a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think what happened is we finally started, executing some of our basic plays. For a while it was just, hey, let's try to throw a slant, and it took us about 6 weeks to get where we could, run a slant the right way and throw a slant the right way. And so, once we started to be able to execute the basic stuff a little bit better, then, that allows you to add a couple of wrinkles here and there. We've improved really just because of our, I think we're playing harder and we're playing with more confidence and we're playing with better technique. And all those things have improved us more than having plays or some kind of trick plays or special plays or whatever. And the big thing in the last 2 weeks, we've been able to run the football. And so that's really, really helped us. It's taken a lot of pressure off our quarterback and we've had, I think, 1 turnover in the last 2 weeks. And if you play that kind of football, then that's going to give you a chance to win. And so for us, it's just about, the fact that we've been able to execute better. So that's allowed us to get a little bit, more people involved in the offense. And when you can run the ball, then play action actually works. People will pay attention to the play action, where before, when we had no run game, they just it didn't have much of an effect on the defense.
Thank you.
Coach, thanks
Thank
so much
you
for your time this week. Look forward to hearing from you once again next Monday.